we just get together like this and like work through like the work project all together. Somebody kind of is the one driving, but everybody pitches in. And then we are also working on like right now the first project is the actual Grammerhub website. So we came up like the first people that came into the meetup, and the ones that wanted to like be part of it, and set up a separate time for a little sprint meetings and planning. We created our board in Trello, and we started like assigning projects, and now we have I mean we have it's advanced. I mean it's a work in process, but we do have something already kind of to show. Kyle, you have the most recent
version?
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are gonna have to give me a second because you put
No,
me on a spot like that.
No, it's fine. I just like to see that besides like what we're doing right now, we also are going to try to get like more projects, and eventually, you know, maybe get into simple, if somebody needs to like make like a flyer kind of like website, like a one-page website, and then we can like make it for them. Or maybe like if you guys know a charity that doesn't have a website, and you know you want to like hook them up with a website. Yes, you wanted to
I have
something?
A question about that volunteer work. I actually applied for Catch Fire. I don't know if anybody has heard of them.
No.
Catch Fire is kind of like they help organizations, and most of them are nonprofits, for different things, anything from training to Excel to web development. I have 2 scheduled phone calls, one for New Jersey association that helps victims of sexual abuse. And the second one is for another, I don't remember the state, but it's for mobility. They reestablish kind of like orthopedic things, and they give them to old folks that need them for recovery. So I'm going to have a phone call in the next few days, and they're going to tell me what updates they have. But obviously, I can't do it by myself. I jumped into that, and then I said, maybe I can find someone to work with me if I get the contract. But it's volunteer work. That's what you're talking about?
No. What we're talking more is about like actual projects. So let's say that the idea here is that you can say, I worked on this website or this web app, and I did this part of the web app, and you know you will be able to show your code. We will be like, of course you can show your code, and if you go to an interview, you'll be able to present that as like part of your experience. But at the same time, we would like to grab it from a place that is meaningful. It's not like say, okay, we made this shopping cart and it was not used. No, let's say there was a store in our community that has the need for a website with a shopping cart, and then we created that, and then we gave it to them. Something like that, more than volunteer per se.
Cool, thank you.
Donald, you actually gave me an idea. Probably a few months ago, you guys are all Florida-based, right? Or no?
No, we have people from Seattle, right?
Oh, Seattle.
Yeah.
Well, there's the Wellington Mall, city called Wellington here in Florida, and I went in there's a museum, like a dinosaur museum in there. And I went in there, and this lady she seemed very desperate for people. She was looking at, I guess I'm a young college-age student, and she was looking for people to work on the website for the museum. And so I don't know if they're still around. That was a long time ago that she asked me. I don't know if they're still around or what the situation is, obviously with what's going on. But I do remember she was asking that, so that came into my mind when you were mentioning that.
And there should be a bunch of like nonprofits or like this kind of organization, educations that they just don't have the people to do this. Like like right nowadays, like a good website, what is like a couple of $1,000s or more, depending on how like advanced or like nice and configurable you want it. Even a WordPress, they will charge you a few $1,000s. So yeah, that the idea is to be able to help the community somehow, like help the group, help the community. It's kind of like what we want.
And I sent a link to their website. I think this is their website of what they have, I guess. It does look very bare bones and kind of not really modern, up to date.
Right, and we can also say that, hey, you know what, we created this web for you if you want to upgrade, update.
Right.
There's different ways to approach it, definitely. It's not even loading for me.
Oh, no. I wonder if maybe I sent the link wrong. Oh, yeah, it's kind of...
Cool. So should I show?
Yeah.
All right. Let me share this screen. So
I just wanted to say that if we're going to be looking for volunteer projects, there's also a group called Seattle Against Slavery, which that volunteer group, Maria, that you were talking about, this one actually, it strictly focuses on sex slavery. And so they have volunteer opportunities for tech. So I think I'm just going to send the link.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So everybody can see that. I think there's an opportunity for UI UX design. There's one for web crawling. And there's one for data science and analytics, which, although we're not really quite doing that, I don't know if there's any need to.
Right. The idea is to keep the meetup going, and maybe even having different groups that will tackle different tasks. Say, hey, you guys like this stack better, and you think that this stack will be really beneficial to this project, then you can just grab it and work from there. We just don't want to spread ourselves too thin initially, because we are starting. So right now we're trying, to be honest, we're trying to also figure out on the way. So I never had a meetup. I don't think Kyle ever had a meetup. Alan's a little more experienced there. Hey, Alan, Mr. Quiet today.
cool.
I'm absorbing.
Actually, before I show this, Alan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Well, hi, my name is Alan, and with Kyle and Donald, we started this group project, like they mentioned, a few months ago, from now a program that's not here called Launch Code. I think we found the need, to have a platform for new developers to increase their skills and make themselves more marketable, right? Just be able to zigzag, between different interviews and just questions related to work or promotions, to get you to that level. Say, hey, you're not just a junior developer. You seem to know, your way around different technologies. So we had one in-person meetup, and
Right.
then the virus hit, and then we said, well, let's try online, and here we are, and it looks like we're going to be here for a while. So
this is what, 10th week?
This is the 10th week.
10th week, yeah. Ooh.
This is the 10th week, and great to meet all of you. And I think I mentioned it on the Slack. There's going to be Todd Albert is going to be doing a tech resume workshop. I believe it's on Friday. So keep your eyes on the Slack to see the time and the date, for that. So, bring your LinkedIn resume questions to him. I mean, this guy's been in development for 20 plus years, has his own companies, has been in startups. Now he's going to actually, Todd is launching a coding school here in South Florida. So,
oh yeah, how is that going?
He's still going.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, he's still going, and he brings a lot of experience. He has worked on some interesting projects along the way, apps and whatnot. So be ready. Be ready. It should be this week, and hopefully you can see all of you guys there too. So now that you already probably know, Kyle is the brainiac. Second brainiac is Donald, a former chemist, and
I'm still a chemist.
Yes, he's still a chemist, and me, I like a lot of things, and software development is one of those. So here we are.
Cool. All right, so we're basically building this project. It's built off of Next.js, which is to keep things very, I guess, abstracted. It's React, except it's server side, so you can use things like Google Analytics, and it allows web crawlers to actually go through HTML. So with this, we have the file structures. You have the pages, the components, static. So as you can see, you have all these pages, and if I open up this window here, close this. This is a work in progress. We're kind of just building out our pages right now to get the structure. But we have the home page.
The Batman page, yeah.
Yeah, the Batman page right now. We have about, and you'll notice in the actual file, we have about, and home is just index.tsx. But if we go to showcase, it's 404, and that is because there's no showcase file here in the pages folder. So really what Next.js does is it kind of abstracts a lot of the logic when it comes to making a server-side app. And yeah, so we're currently building that. And I would like to show you what it will look like, but that's work in progress. If you wanted, should I show the Trello board also?
Yeah, and the Trello board, yeah, exactly. I mean, show what what views we have and what little we've done, but I mean, something has gotten done.
All right, I'll let.
A lot of the beginning was basically trying to figure out like bugs and like being able to like collaborate and we have the calendar. Oh, then you get the
Donald's calendar. There's a lot of data here right now. Actually, let me take that out.
Yeah, you know, I couldn't get it to figure out on my computer. There's something wrong with my configuration of course or something, because it's still giving me an error.
So
how many are familiar with Next.js? I guess.
Well, if you're familiar with React, you're good.
Or React.
Right.
Daniel or Maria, are you guys familiar with it?
No, I'm not too familiar with React. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So sorry. I am a little bit familiar with React.
Okay. Got it.
I'm not too familiar with React. That's kind of something I'm trying to learn here. So.
Awesome. Yep. Kyle makes it very easy to absorb. So, you know, with the projects, I mean, now we have 2 projects going on, and the Mondays. If you have your laptops already semi set up for today, you know, just chime along and you start getting it.
Yeah, we do a live share with Visual Studio Code, so everybody can literally jump in the code.
Yep. Cool. So basically, we kind of wanted to structure the pages to where each page has certain functionalities. You know, that isn't just like a static site. So here we have a calendar. We have one where we're interfacing. We have a media page where we're going to interface with, you know, YouTube, either iframes or API, one of those. So we just wanted to kind of work
the calendar as well. That was a call. What you saw in the left earlier when he said there was a lot of data, that was all of the Grammerhub Meetup events. And they're eventually going to get a list on the left side, and they're going to get also placed on the calendar for everybody to be able to like see and pick and click that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Here's the array of events, just to show you how crazy Alan is when it comes to scheduling stuff. This is all of the events.
That's just for Grammerhub.
And I'm pretty sure he did these verbatim, hand by hand, I want to say. So Alan's passionate.
Hey, I have a vision.
Right. All right. So that's that. I think now we can get started with where we left off with Connect 4. So I'm gonna close this out.
Sure. Do you guys have any I guess of new participants and previous participants? Do you guys have any questions before we start?
I'm good, thank you.
Cool.
I'm good.
And I'll probably bring this up while we're doing this, but I kind of do this 24/7. So I am available to schedule one-on-ones, right? That's just something I kind of like doing. So just keep that in mind. I'll probably bring it up again while we're doing all of this, but yeah. Cool. So this is our Connect 4. We have a board component and we have a slot component. So if I run this, just make sure I have everything. Get sure. All right. So if I do npm start, just a normal command with React that'll get things running. Please ignore my.
It's 2,000 tabs. Yeah, no worry.
Yeah. All right. So this is what we have right now at the moment. Get this out. Cool. So something like this. I changed the color for anyone who's wondering because when I was talking about Grammerhub, I decided to show one of our projects that we were working on.
Also, this was a project that we literally said, let's build this. And there was no guide, no nothing. It was just us coming up together with the CSS, coming up together with the colors, with the shapes, just
right. So that's typically I think why this was a good approach is that's typically what happens when you're learning React or just building projects, because you want to build stuff, right? That's how you end up learning. And what I found out was even when I was learning, I would build random projects that I had no business building. I built like a restaurant website. I built a dashboard, just different types of projects, and they didn't really have a purpose, but this is kind of like that, where we're just building Connect 4, and we have these different components. So these circles represent the slot components, and then obviously this is the board. So we're going back to the code. We're basically starting off without getting too much into it. This looks complex, but the board kind of just looks like someone edited this. Imagine something like this. And that's basically how our board's represented. So this would be one array, and then we just have an array of different arrays. So we're creating a 2D type of space, X and Y axis, for Daniel, since you're fresh out of college. All right, so who wants to share their screen so we can demonstrate live share? We use this thing with Visual Studio Code called live share. So that way someone volunteers or gets voluntold to share their screen, and we're going to code together through the problems. So they'll go through their thought process, and it's kind of an open environment for you to say, would this approach be better? There's a couple debates that, a bunch of people have had over what was the best approach that we should take. So any volunteers? Okay, I'm going to volunteer Donald.
I did this all day. Please excuse me. I've been training somebody for 7 hours straight.
Okay. Unfortunate. I feel like everyone's going to have an excuse now. Nice.
That is the
Okay.
reason, not an excuse.
If I can clone it, but I'm very beginners. I don't know.
If you,
We can do that.
That's a good point. I guess we should start with that. So do you have GitHub?
I do.
Can you send inside of the chat your GitHub link? And this is also for Daniel, your GitHub username.
Through the chat, right?
Yeah.
Username or the link?
Oh, MJ305. I just put the link.
That's my username.
Cool. Grammerhub team.
Is your GitHub? This definitely will take me out of my comfort zone.
Cool. That's where learning happens.
Just to preface, I'm very bare bones right now. I have a lot of catching up to do.
No worries.
I'll try to do that.
Yeah. When we first started off, I kind of tried to show how if you know HTML,
yeah,
you would kind of slowly be able to pick up React if you just have that basic intuition of HTML and its structure.
Yeah, I do. I actually just finished the CSS Flexbox and Grid, kind of more in detail. So I have a good idea. I did my portfolios using Gatsby, which is React, right?
Yeah.
So it took me about a week because I was using a starter, but
how'd you host it?
Through Heroku. I really tried because I have a WordPress that I was messing with like a year ago, and I have my personalized URL through the cPanel. But I was breaking my head trying to figure out how to like move it from Namecheap into her. Like I just put on Heroku.
I'm surprised. Usually, Gatsby, the way to host something is through Netlify. So
no, they have Heroku too. And actually, the two websites that I did with static CSS and HTML, I was able to deploy them in Heroku using PHP, a small PHP code.
Nice.
Yeah. I figured that out by myself.
Yeah, that's actually really, really big. Even deploying something, because that's something I think is taught less fundamentally, especially online resources, whatnot. I sent both of you guys a notification on GitHub to join the team.
I'm in.
Where do I go there? Wait, I've never been invited from outside.
So I guess since no one wants to volunteer, I'll take the wheel today.
You should check your email, Marie. That's where I got mine.
Kyle, if you want, just share the screen, not the screen, the link so that we can join the collaboration.
Oh, thank you for pointing that out. Yeah. Hopefully this doesn't make me sign in. All right. So I'll put live share in here. And are both of you guys familiar with Visual Studio Code?
Yeah, that's the one I use.
Cool.
Yeah, I've used it a little bit.
Cool. Nice. All right, so if we go back to the actual screen, just a quick demonstration while everyone's getting set up. We got to the point where we can track which column each click gets, and we're just dropping whatever player's piece is available in that slot. So player 2 is the winner. right? And that's basically what we got to. We got to vertical, 4 in a row, but now we got to work on diagonal. That'll be a beast. First, I think we should attack horizontal, which shouldn't be too bad considering we got vertical. So I guess my question is, where should I start? Any ideas?
I'm gonna check the. I'm gonna verify the. Like you said, vertical first. No, I'm sorry, diagonal first.
Horizontal first.
Horizontal first.
Yeah.
Well,
so let's see. Where's our logic for the vertical? It's here, right?
Right. My approach would be at the end of each turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Check each one of the horizontal lines, right? Check line 1, 2, and 3. I think can I see the board again?
Yeah.
It has to be 4 in a row, right?
Right.
So check. Oh no, you have to. Yeah, I guess I would just like at the beginning of the
So
or at the end of the turn.
Separating this logic, we have this. This is one array, right? So we have a list of arrays, and inside of that list, that full list of the board, we have this. So one array equals 1 row. We have the first one, the second one, the third one, because remember it starts at 0. The third one, the fourth, fifth, sixth. So these are all just arrays, right? So when we pick a column.
I know. Actually, no. So grab the first array and then see if it contains player 1 and how many it contains. See if it contains player 2 or how many it contains. If there are 4, then verify the column. If not, don't verify. I mean the row.
So what are we? Sorry, I'm confused. So what do we want to count? Right.
We want to count which player it is. Like how many player 1 and how many player 2 there are.
Right.
Can't
if
we?
They're less than 4. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to say, can't we kind of just repurpose the logic from the vertical, and we just need to apply it to the horizontal row arrays? Because we're only checking for the player whose current turn it is. You don't have to think about the other player.
Right. So just to catch everyone up where we are. So if we go here, don't get too, I guess, it's a lot. It's starting to get to a lot of code, right? We started off just writing little things, and now it's this whole system. So we're going to slowly walk back. Basically, we have these game slots, and every time that we click one, we're doing this place circle handler, and we're just taking a column. So we just have this function, and we're giving it a column. So this function is taking this column that we pass in, and it's doing check winner player. So this is basically the function that's going to check if we won. If not, then it's going to do whatever else it's doing. So if we go here, we see that we're doing a vertical test equals this dot vertical check, and then we're passing in that column again. And that is going here, right? So it's just a different, we're kind of following the story. So now we're at vertical check, and we're taking this column, and this is basically the logic that Gabe was talking about replicating, I'm assuming, right? So we're just going to take this.
Yeah.
Does anyone else want to do this?
Sorry, basic question. I was trying to clone the thing. What are you running it on Yarn or NPM?
Oh, npm.
Thank you.
All right, so there should be, I want to say in the readme file, there's, let's have the right thing. So you want to git clone, you want to cd into this connect-4 folder, and then npm install.
Yeah, I think I didn't. I thought I had it installed. npm install, and then npm start, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just not letting me.
It's the repo is a folder within the folder though, so it's a little confusing.
You might need to go in one more folder.
Got it. Got it.
Steve, how do I connect to the collaboration session so that I can see the repo and make changes?
How do you? I'm sorry.
I'm trying to join the collaboration, but I'm not able to see any of the code, any of the repo. It just gets stuck trying to open the Connect4 folder.
It says you're in.
Never mind. I'll do this after. Thank you.
Sorry. That's weird. You try disconnecting and reconnecting?
I'm gonna try that. Yeah, it's gonna
Cool.
take me some time.
All right. Let me know if that works. So we're gonna take this vertical check. Does anyone else want to do this? You know, typing actually getting that muscle memory helps too. By the way, just saying. So we have this vertical check, and now we're gonna clone it, and we're gonna name this horizontal.
I'll give it a try, Kyle, if I can.
So, all right. So we have this horizontal check. So we probably want to change the logic, or else it's just going to check the vertical. So before we check out this horizontal check, what information, because this is just a function, right? What information do we need from this horizontal check? So if we're going back to the board here, we have this row, we have this row, we have this row. You kind of giving a hint here. This row, this row.
So we would need to know if any of the rows are.
Right. We probably, instead of, because if you remember from the vertical check, we're passing in the column, right? But here, if we do this row, we technically could use the column or we could use the row. So which approach sounds better to everyone?
The row.
Or the row.
Probably the row, right? Just because if you're given that information, it's less logic you have to do in the function. So currently right now, we're just passing in the columns. So we have to switch that all the way back here, unfortunately. So if we look up, we're passing in the row index here. So we can say row index.
Column index. You're passing 2 arguments through this function.
Right. So we're passing 2 arguments into this function, which is.
Oh shoot! I'm not on mute. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. That's actually better to actually talk through it. Actually encourage that. So thank you for your involuntary help. Okay, so we have row index, and we also want to pass it probably into check winner player, right? Because that's where we're calling vertical check. We'll pass it one more time. We'll probably have to change it here. So all I'm doing is I'm basically changing the properties, the arguments that are going into each function, just so we can pass the row in. So I guess here is where we can start the logic. After the vertical test. So here, we start the logic. Any input, you can just start typing. This is live share, by the way. So no one's actually started typing yet, but you'll see that you can see everything cursor and where they're typing. There it goes. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to be talking. I don't know. I couldn't make it work yet. Okay, let's see.
Cool. So we have this is the vertical test. This is the horizontal test. So how do we want to start this? You probably dope. Yeah. See some clicking going on.
Do you have to create another function? Another
Cool.
Horizontal test?
Nice.
It pretty much will repeat what's on the top. These are horizontal. Then the argument row.
Yeah, and this is basically typical programming is copying and pasting, right? And then just, okay, what do I want and what don't I want from this, basically. Cool. So we have.
What you're saying is that we should refactor the whole thing and make one function that takes two values and then evaluate those two, opposed to having two functions that have like 90% of the same code and violating the dry principle.
Right.
And I'm just giving a hard time. And
yeah, but there's also another. See, this is why it's interesting. There's also this other principle that says that it should have one. It's the solid principles, as not salad like vegan, but solid like SOLID. But one of those is that you want to have one function do one specific task, right?
Yeah, verify who if there's a winner. That is your specific task.
So that comes to how you verify or how you describe everything.
I am giving you a hard time.
No, it's cool. That's a perfect segue. So we have. I'm just gonna point something out really quick because sometimes this will confuse us. Up here, I have vertical test and vertical check. The only reason I changed these is because having this kind of like this, it kind of can confuse you at times. You know what I mean? It's really something we might run into in the future, but it's just something to keep in mind. Cool. So we have horizontal tests, and then we're calling this function. And since we're inside of a class, we say this dot horizontal check, right? Cool. All right. So while he's typing that, for anyone who's looking at this code here, what we're doing basically is this function is returning either true or false. So that way we can put if this test, this is basically saying if this is true, then we're going to do whatever's in here, which is we're just changing the state and we're logging something. So he's just rewriting that down here. Since Donald said that we could, if we get done early, because we'll probably take this one and then another one to like clean things up, make it look pretty, not presentable. So after, if we have a little bit of time after, we could talk about how we can optimize this to look better. But okay, so we have if horizontal test. So now what we're missing is we're missing this actual function, right? So we'll probably make this up here. Oh, okay, it's already there. Yeah, awesome. Cool. So right above that function, check winner player, we have our horizontal check function. We have row, and what I'm gonna do is, just so we have a template, sorry if you're trying to type in here. Oh, I see what you're doing. I don't want to stop your flow. Keep going, keep going.
Oh, so good. I was just gonna switch this to row here.
Cool. All right. So
You're good. That was it. Go for it.
About our logic, we have basically a for loop that's going through each row, right? We have 6 different rows. And now it's saying if this dot state dot board at this row, do you see where I'm going? So we're already passing in the row. So do we need to do the for loop here? So basically what we're doing is, count, what line is that? Oh, this is a good time to talk about debugging. So red normally scares people, but this is good. This is good because this isn't the big white screen that's red, which is scarier because it's just a bunch of text. This is basically telling us exactly where our problem is. So we should actually say thank you to React's awesome logging. So that was line 56. Let's just see where that was. Count. Oh, okay. So when I commented out console.log, I also commented out the count. Rookie mistake. Which means we also need to add that here. Nice. Thank you. Oh, I love peer programming. Okay, so we have this. Let's see if it works now. Okay, so if we go here, we're basically doing a for loop. And the first for loop that we're doing is just going this line, this line, this line, right? Rows. Then inside of this is just another array. So this value, this value, this value. So if we already have the row, our for loop that's going through each one kind of doesn't serve its purpose. I think it would be easier. Someone else can tell me if we should kind of destructure it from here. Just have this as kind of like, that's the wrong one.
Isn't the for loop just iterating through the values in the array, and then it's just tallying up at, using the count as the tracker? So we're not iterating through the board, we're iterating through the array, right?
Yes. So if we're iterating through the array, each value of the row, is that the first array or is it the second one? So that would be the separate columns, right?
I'd have to look at board.
My bad. I'll keep this here. So we're going row, 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 and then inside of the rows we go column, 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 column. So technically we switched this was column, right?
Yeah.
So that means this was row. So all we're doing is we're kind of replacing the values, right? This is still technically a value. We're just substituting it for what we already know. So really, this for loop should work for, just like you were talking about, the column.
Would you be able to just show us where the board is defined, just so I can see that?
This is where the board's defined. I don't know if this helps you or anything. Just to kind of explain why this is this way for everyone. So we came into this problem where we started off and we did, I'll do let board 3, for example. As you can see, we had a couple different scenarios. That's why this is board 2. But we did let board 3, and then we said this is an array size 6. And then we filled it, so we did dot fill equals an array of size 7, right? So it's 7 columns and 7 rows. The reason this didn't work is because everything was filled with undefined. So when you tried to cycle through that, it wouldn't work. And so we had to figure out a way to kind of fill every value. So we looked on Stack Overflow, which I'm pretty sure a lot of many of us have heard of, but we found this solution. There was multiple solutions, but we went along with this one because this one came out the fastest. And it's basically creating a string of 7 zeros, and then we're splitting it by each character. So it ends up being an array of 7 zeros. It's kind of hacky. You probably see some solution like this on LeetCode or something, but that's basically what it is. But we're doing basically, it's creating this. If this helps. Right. Streamline this a little bit. Cool. It's basically doing this, right? So it's this array of different arrays and it has values. Just imagine this has 7 instead of 6 X's and O's. But basically, this is what we're doing here, if this helps.
For me, at least, that helps. Yeah.
Cool. So I'll put this here just so we can keep track of it. Cool. So we have this value, which is a board, and it's an array of arrays. The first index into the array is a row, and the second index is a column. We're passing in the row, so we could kind of just fill that in. So now we're just looking at the columns, which are of 7 instead of 6, because we could get caught for a long time on that error. Okay, so we're basically cycling through whatever row it is, and what are we doing from there?
So basically, you're just checking for the current player in that array, and if you see the player once, count is incremented once, and then if you see an empty space or the other player, it resets to 0. But if count hits 4, it returns true that current player is the winner.
So technically, if we're going through this logic, okay, let's see. So from 0 to 7, looking at each column, and it says if the column is taken, we add to the count. If the count equals 4, we return true. And if it's not taken, we're resetting the count. So it's basically already, because of us borrowing from vertical, we basically have the logic here, right? I guess we could test it. Yeah. So I'm going to demonstrate by doing a trick that I usually get my brother with when I play this. So I'm going to go here, and he'd go somewhere over here. And you go here, and I go here. Okay, so this is just like a normal track. Just so you learn stuff besides coding. This is brilliant strategy. All right, so going here, if we go here, Oh, we're not logging, unfortunately. So we should probably log what we're getting. So let's log. What should we log? Probably just the row. Is there anything else that anyone thinks we should be conscious of when we're clicking? Just to show you what we're doing. So we're clicking. You know the row. Is there anything else that we should be logging?
Should we log the count as well so we can make sure it's tracking right?
Nice. So we could do the row.
And if there's a winner.
Oh, and if there's a winner. Good point. The count. And obviously, you could do better logging than this. I'm just doing this really quick. And
although the check winner is set up to log if there's a horizontal winner as well, I think.
oh, okay, yeah. So we have winner there. Good call. Cool. Thank you for putting that space in there. By the way. All right. So we run this again. Cool. So that was probably a bad example. All right. So we have the row is 1. The count is 1. The row is 1. Where's the, so remember this is starting at 0, right? So the second row, or row 1, is technically here. We can go by the numbers actually conveniently. So why is it logging this as the row each time? I'll refresh it and try it again. This is a good bug to have, by the way. So I click here, row is 1. Click here, row is 1. Click here, row is 2. Click here, row is 1 again.
So it's logging where you click and not where the token ends up.
Dope. Yeah, so we're basically, we're getting information, we're just getting the bad information. Which is important. This is kind of why there's 2 approaches. You could use the debugger or you could use the logging. But these errors usually come in 2 ways when it's getting logic right? It's either you're putting in the wrong information or you're calculating out the wrong information. So it's good to know that we're just putting in the wrong information. So if we look here, passing in row, now we're kind of going backwards. What's calling horizontal check? And that's down here. So we're passing in row here. Check winner player. We're passing that in here. So this row index isn't necessarily what we want, right?
Right, because when it's in a column, it's always still going to be in that same column, so that works.
Right.
But in the row, it's not necessarily going to be the right row.
So let's take this out for now. We can go back to check winner player and take this out. We still have the column. I guess we need to check where our logic is picking where the spot goes, right? Which is probably in place circle handler. Oh, I erased the wrong row. Cool. All right, so we have place circle handler. Thank you, Steve. And this is basically where we have the logic that's saying, all right, we click this column. This one's taken. We click this column. This one's taken. Fill up the slot above it. This is basically where this logic is happening. So this is the row we want. Where do we have that row? So this will be I. This dot state dot board at I in the column. So we're basically checking this. We're going through each row, starting from. So let's try to destructure this for you. Another big part of coding is actually reading other people's code. That's something that's also not taught. So there's a couple times where I look back at my code and I wish I wrote it cleaner because I'm like, what did I write? So this is a good example. We kind of have to slow down and go back to what we originally did. So we have I equals whatever the length is. So that's how many rows, right? And we're going backwards. We're starting at the length minus 1, which means we'll start at 5, which is the bottom row. And we're going negative, not negative, we're going backwards, counting until we are at 0, basically. That's what this is saying. So starting with the bottom row, that's what I is. At whatever column we click, if it equals 0, then we fill it here. So this is basically the if statement that we need to pass in that row. So we have check winner player, row column. Right now we just have check winner player with this column. I sat back so someone else could type. So this this is the row, this is the column. If it equals 0, this is what we want, this data right here.
Is that what we want?
Is it? Let's see. Click here. Ooh, nice. So we cannot read property 0 of undefined. This dot state dot board row at 0. So you probably can't read. I'll just tell you because we'll probably have to do a lot of logging if I don't. What this is saying is you can't read 0 of undefined. So I is 0, right? So that means this dot state dot board at row is equaling undefined, which means whatever we're passing into row here, oops. Oh, that's okay. Don't
we
that.
Don't we just want I anyway?
That's cool.
Oh,
so
yeah.
what are you talking about?
So I said this dot state dot board I, but it should just be I.
Right, because I is
we're
the
gonna
row, right?
Yeah, we just want the index of the row in our horizontal
So just
check.
so everyone's clear, where that error was coming from is basically since the board's filled with 0, the character 0, we were passing in the character 0 as the row. So that's why that wasn't working.
I was passing the value, not the index.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So let's hope this works. Fingers crossed. Going back to our logic just before, we have this dot check winner. We have the row, but now we're passing in the right row here. So hopefully this works. I'll do my handy dandy. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna restart that. I thought I clicked here. Interesting. Okay.
What?
So we're getting our column off. That's weird. So what are we not doing here? It's very interesting. So something with our column that's happening. Do? Should we undo? No?
Sure. We know what we were trying to do with, so it's easy to pass that row again.
Right. So you want to just try this again?
Maybe. Sure.
So if we reset this, fingers crossed. Wow, we're still getting that same error. Okay, so we have our column index logging out, and that says 2. But I clicked here. So if I click here, that still says 2. So there's something wrong with our column now. Did we touch our column? Let's see what we're doing here. Okay. So we're here. Does anyone know where or have any ideas where we should log? Okay, we're back to a stable point. So I guess we can go from here. Who said go back or revert our changes?
Why don't you log?
Steven,
Why don't you log at the point where you're calling the function, no, the vertical check, or you?
All right. Wait, I'm confused.
Right, because you don't know, like there's some error on like what you're passing, right? So why don't you go where you actually are passing that information and like just right before there, log it.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So you know exactly what you're passing.
Cool. I think I see the problem too. But yeah, let's do that. So we should take this off like we had it, and let's console.log column index. I think we're going to see it this time because okay, so we're going to click 0, 0. Okay, that works. Now we're going to click 0, 5. Is this 5? 0, 4. We're going to click 1, 5. And it showed up in column 1. We clicked row 1, but it showed up in column 1. 0, 0 again. Okay, that looks like it worked. Let's try, what is this, 3. So 1, 3. Does anyone see? No? Okay, so I think what we're doing is when we click on a certain row, it's taking that row and it's passing it into the column. So if we look back at our logic, sorry, just to go back again, we clicked on this, which is the first or the second row, and it filled the second column. So if I click here, it filled the second column, not the second row. So if we look back, remember, it's our problems when it comes to this are either we're passing in the wrong data or we're translating the wrong data. So if we go back to here, circle handler, we're still passing in the row index. But this function is just taking column now.
So because of the order of the expected arguments, it's taking row as column.
Right. Which we probably would have been here a while if Steven didn't save us. So remember, we are calculating the row in this function now. So we don't even need to pass row into here anymore. So thank you, Steven, for saving us like 30 minutes of time. So we have column now. Let's just make sure this works before we do anything else. Okay, so it looks like we're back on track. Hooray. So once again, we'll try this solution. I think it was
just I. Yeah.
Right, where I is the row of the first field, the first open slot. So we click here now. Okay, saying the row is 5, the count is 0. So it's still saying the count is 0. Let's try something else, just so we can clarify what's going on. So let's start the red here. Okay, so we're not counting at all. So that's our next, I guess, step, right? So we have check winner player. Nice, people are already highlighting. I like it. We're passing in the row here, horizontal check. Inside of here, we're saying the row is, let's make sure our rows were right. It looks like our rows were right? So each time it's talking about the bottom row, 5, and then it says 4, and it should say 3. Okay, so we have our rows right. So that's good. The count isn't updating though. Aha. What are we doing? Preach. I think Steven's talking, or is he just highlighting stuff?
Yeah, I'm just randomly highlighting stuff.
Okay. So we have this log, and we're logging the count before we do anything to it. Yeah, order of operations. So we basically kind of just blinded ourselves from what we were doing by putting this here. So once again, that's another mistake, and I'll make plenty of those, so don't bash me for them. We're returning inside of here, so we probably want to log twice, maybe. Log here and also log here, so that way we make sure we're always getting a log. So let's try this. Does that make sense why I did it before the return and also after? Cool. Just trying to save us some time. Sorry, no one else is able to play against me on this. All right, so we have the count is 1, so that's good. Interesting. We're doing this a lot of times where we're logging. And why is that? We'll go back to the code. So we're doing this for loop for each column, and we're logging this. I just wanted, there's nothing special going on. I just want to kind of keep us up to date with what's going on. All right, so if I do this with the red, now count as 2, right? So if I do my trap against my brother again, which is not really a trap, get to 3. All right, and hopefully this works. Nice. Nice. So just to backtrack what we did, we took the logic, we borrowed the logic from vertical check, kind of created its own function again, we renamed it and all that. Then we figured out which logic we needed and which logic we needed to substitute, right? So we didn't need the column anymore. Like here, we had the column. We didn't need that. We needed the row. And
let me interrupt you 1 second.
Nice.
Why don't you do it on the second row from the bottom? Try to achieve the same thing on the second row.
Okay. Nice. Let's try that. Thank you. If anyone doesn't know about Donald likes breaking things. Cool. So we have this platform. All right. So looks like my brother's going to trap me this time. So we do it here. I'm sorry, I'm doing it in this order again. All right. So it still does count as 3. So if I do red here, there 2 is the winner. Looks like it works.
All right, what about one last scenario? One last scenario. Now, set it all up, right? Where you have 3 almost ready to be like 1 at the bottom, but then start moving on to the top. And then randomly drop the last one on the bottom to win.
I'm very
so you're right now you're putting them on like row 1, column 1. Row 1, and then you fill out all row 1. But what about you go to row 1, not completely filled, but like with 1 space to win, and then move into row 2, and then randomly you dropped the row 1 winner while you have row 2 semi-full and stuff.
Try row 1, column 1, and then row 1, column 6 or column 5.
Donald, am I doing this like this?
Yes, something like that.
You're just saying make the game pretty vertical, but have it set up to suddenly win.
Right. For instance, have a count of 2 of the black one on the second row.
So can I click this?
No.
Okay.
No, put it on the oh my god, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 on 4, 4.
Let's take a look at the edge cases so far, because we're having both the vertical and the horizontal, and we haven't realized it, but until now. So we will have like draw those.
Put it there. You'll win twice. Is that what you're saying? So you'll win twice?
No. Not that you win twice. I just want to see like after you have the board really like messed up, and then you win at like a different level than what you're actually like been playing at. Because right now you've been playing all over. Now put it there, and then now try to win.
Here?
And then try to win.
Here?
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to like explore like, if the game was actually being played.
Okay. I was completely...
Maybe we can leave it that later.
I wish I could share this part. Unfortunately, we don't have live share for this screen here. So,
you can share the... No, you cannot. You can share the... they say... didn't they say that teams are 3 right now?
I don't know what you... Didn't they say like, what?
Microsoft Teams. No, Microsoft Teams.
Maybe. I don't know. You're the Microsoft guy.
My son has classes with his teacher every morning through Teams.
Really?
Yep, video conference.
You can share screens with that?
You can share
The
screen
teacher does.
and you can actually give control also of your screen.
We might need to check that out. We
Yeah.
definitely experiment with that next time. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Yeah.
Kyle, so the rose works well.
It looks like the rose works. So we have horizontal and we also have vertical, just to demonstrate that vertical still works. Probably bad.
Yeah, I know we did it. Yeah, I was trying to troubleshoot it, but it's gonna take more time, so I don't bother with that.
Cool. So
yeah,
we still have this.
Mm.
So one thing that I noticed after running this vertical test is that although we said this is the winner, we still check these other things. So I think after we set state, we should probably do something.
Just like stop, win.
Right. So we'll probably break or return after this. Return here. And this is basically just to say you don't have to check anymore. We got it. All right, so the tricky part. You gotta start horizontal. It's tricky. Now we're getting to diagonal. Okay, so let's look at the board.
You want to try diagonal? We're gonna do it now.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
1 second. It's getting kind of dark in here. I'm gonna turn my light on.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah. So I was gonna ask you, what if we want to reset? So what if we want to clear the dots, or should we leave that to later?
I was thinking we could leave that to later because that's literally just resetting the state, right?
Everything, right? Yep.
Yeah. I think the main functionality we want to get is the board down. And then we can make it look pretty and, do all these other things with it. So we have the board here. Thinking of something diagonal. This is just me spitballing here, but we can either have diagonal this way or this way, right?
Mm.
So with this, thinking of it kind of like, I know a lot of people aren't fans of math, but thinking of it like kind of like a rise over run. So it's just over one, up one, over one, up one.
Oh, the slope.
Up one.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah. And then it also goes the negative way, right? Down one, left one, down one, left one. So we have these two kind of motions of how we could check stuff.
Yeah, okay. And how do we put this in a for loop?
Tricky.
Well, we can create a pseudo board because there is some stuff that you don't need to check. Like there are some places that you don't need to check for the pseudo board.
Like what?
For instance, if you're going from left to right, up, right? You don't have to check like 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. Those guys you don't have to
if we're going in this direction?
Yeah.
But what about if we're going in this one?
Yeah, that's a different. I don't think you should mix them both.
Okay, so we should separate it, right? The two separate diagonals.
Yeah, I think it would be easier to keep track of it.
So what do we want to name this so we know which diagonal we're checking?
So one thing to interject there first is off of the column. It's going to be the same distance either way. So take your column and subtract 3.
Take your column and subtract 3.
Yeah.
To go to middle. To start from the middle.
If it's outside of either of the bounds, so if it's less than 0 or greater than
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're saying if we were doing it kind of like how Donald was talking about, we were checking here, this wouldn't, if we were checking this diagonal, this wouldn't work. So we'd automatically skip this.
Right.
Okay. So you guys want to do checks for that. All right. Let's write it. What do we want to do here? I'm going to let someone pick the word. I'll even do the courtesy of naming them. So this is / test. / is like this. And then we can also do one. I'll just copy this. And this will be /. Does that help? Kind of us seeing what's going on?
It should, yeah. I'm thinking of starting from the ground. Should we start from the bottom or from the top?
For which /?
So I was going to put them in a loop, put both of those in a loop, starting with the column.
Okay. Wait a second. I want to go in a like a very weird tangent here. What if we just like convert it into a matrix? Isn't there a way to like check this in a mathematical matrix? And just use a formula?
I don't know. Yeah,
I mean,
there may be. I don't know math that well.
Yeah, there may be some magical math equation.
Not magical, just math.
How would you try to? Yeah, how would you try to do that, Donald? How would you try to approach put it into a matrix?
Just like make it into a matrix, and I don't know, that would be an option. Let me think about this.
All right, so let's just kind of what Steven's doing. Let's try to just, I guess, add a bunch of things that we should account for that we need to make sure this does, and then we could kind of just pick apart at it in smaller sections instead of thinking of it as like this massive thing that we have to do.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the for loop, and because so far we have the goal of the game, which is the 4 matches.
The for loop,
and and then we can subtract the number of rows.
Well, remember that what this function is meant for, right? So we don't actually put a for loop in here, right? Because we have vertical tests, and then we're calling a function that does all that logic. So,
yeah. How if we do maybe scratch all that? Think it again from we're thinking about checking the state of the board, but what if we just check the state of the new placed tile? If we only check the new place tile, because that's the new information on the board, that's the only thing that can give us a winner. But what we're doing is checking the board all over and all over and all over.
Well, to play devil's advocate, if we check, let's say you filled in the middle somewhere, you still have to check left and right of that spot.
Right, but you only have to check from that point. That's your new point.
You don't know though if that piece is in the middle. And
no, it doesn't have to be in the middle, but it has to be.
Wow.
That was the bright line coming.
Sorry.
You have it doesn't have to be in the middle. You just know that it's at either position 1, 2, 3, or 4. So you can just like go around position 1, 2, 3, and 4 around that piece, and you will always have like your center. Because
so you're just saying check 4 spaces in any direction.
Right, for that one piece. Yeah.
But you're basically, if you're checking forward in either direction, that's like larger than the size of the board, isn't it?
So we have two separate things
Yeah.
we're checking for, right? We're checking for row and also column. So although let me look back at the board. Although we're up here, right? We'd have to check the row and also the column for this, right?
I think so. I don't know if
because technically, if it was down here, it would still work.
But we're still starting from the middle, so that's kind of our track. I mean, like, I think at first we're starting from the bottom, so we'll be counting those rows, and basically not counting. We will be like subtracting those rows until we reach the middle.
I'm curious. Steve's take.
Yeah, I'm looking at Steve.
Yeah, this is 3 away from the one we dropped, right? 3 to the left of it. And then I'm going to go to check from the bottom left to the top right. I guess I need to know how far off this is, though.
It's a lot more math.
This is an issue because I need to know how far off this is. I can't just do a 0. I thought I could, but it's not going to work like that.
So
we can use the
before we get like too far, I'm gonna let Steve.
But the idea was to check from the left,
right,
and then check 3 above and 3 below to the left. So if you look at the board itself,
right.
Thank you. So say you're at 2-2, right?
2-2.
So you go 3 left. Oh, that's 0. I can't go there. So you're going to reset to 0. That's my problem is I got to figure out how to incorporate that into the up and down, the vertical change too. But if you're at,
so I'm confused what we're checking. So I think everyone's going in a different direction of what we should check first. I think the first thing we should do is kind of agree on what we should check first. I think it would be simpler because with these vertical and horizontal tests, right? We didn't necessarily check. It may ease a lot of the pressure of what we're trying to do. Because remember at first I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong section. With these, what we tried to do at first, if you remember, is we wanted to check from whatever spot we clicked, whatever spot it landed in, if there was a certain amount on each side, right? And what we ended up doing is just counting the entire row, counting the entire column, and incrementing through there, right? So I think we should do the same type of approach here.
So are we checking from the top left or from the top right?
Okay, so we're starting at so we're going to do 4 checks instead of 2.
Right. So what I was thinking is
we got to do.
My bad. You can go.
No, it's just that you got to add up the.
Here's what I'm thinking.
Because if the one that you pick doing 4 checks is in the middle of the diagonal, you have to go backwards some.
Right. So I think what we should do is have a starting point. When we clicked on the row, we knew we started at the beginning of the row. When we clicked on the column, we knew that we started down here and we counted up, right? This time, I think if we're just thinking about it logically, we need to find out the first part of this equation should find out where the starting point is. So that way, if you did click here, it would calculate that this is the starting point.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying, but I only had half of the equation.
So let's go to where you are.
It's gotta happen here, basically, when that changes.
Let's first make a function. So we have somewhere to put this logic so it's not just everywhere. So I'm going to copy just like we did with horizontal. I'm going to copy the vertical.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So we're basically going to be counting, let's say -1, -2, -3, and then see if it fails, if the pieces fail.
First, we're going to check the starting point, and then we're just going to go up, right? We're going to go to the right one, up one, to the right one, up one. And then no?
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
That's kind of what I was saying won't work.
You were saying it wouldn't work?
Right.
And why so?
Not as a separate check from going the opposite direction. Because it's got to be in the middle of the 4. What happens if it's in the middle of the 4, not the end?
With the separate check, the starting point would just be up here somewhere, right? Or
what's that?
Or up here. So we're checking 2 separate ones. We're checking / or we're checking /, right?
Right. Yeah.
So if I clicked here, we go all the way up here, this will be the starting point. If I clicked here, this will be the starting point.
So you're going to go ahead and keep checking the whole row. Okay.
Right. So what I was thinking is, so we can have the logic kind of the same, is we figure out where to start, and then we could just do the normal increment, right? Up 1, right 1. So let's just get the logic in here first. I'm going to give us a little kind of push in the right direction. All right, so this one will probably need.
I gotta go for a second. Hold on. I'll see it.
No worries. This is passing in check winner player, which has a row and a column. So this will probably take a row and a column. This one's gonna throw everyone off. I can feel I'm getting kind of confused too. All right, so we have / check. So let's make that / check row column. All right, so we have this, right? Let's just first, we're going to console.log, because it's going to be custom logic. We're just going to console.log forward / is as row and column. All right. So this is just going to tell us where we are. And the reason I'm doing it this way is I kind of want to destructure it, right? So we start off just logging where we are, and then we could just add the next piece to it instead of thinking about this whole thing, because our brains will explode. So if I click, go ahead.
Never mind. No. Go ahead.
So with / I would say, how would we know just based off of this one position if this is the beginning? There's a certain this is the bottom row, right?
We don't need to know. We don't need to know.
If this is, can there be a first position other than this if this is the bottom row for /
No.
Right? Because no matter what, it has to start on the bottom row for us to start counting. So we could technically say if, let's see what the row was. The row is 5. So we can say if row equals 5 start equals row column. So let's just say we'll create a mini array. We'll just have row column, right? Kind of like a two. So we have this variable called start. And this is where we're going to start everything. We can start it default at 0, 0. Else, and this is where we want to do our calculation. I'm going to make a lot more comments with this just so we kind of follow what's going on. So we have calculate where starting point is. All right, so let's think of our logic here. If I clicked here, how would we figure out that this is our starting point? So if we think about it, we're going up a row because this is going downwards, right? So we're going up a row and we're going back a column. Up a row, back a column. It's kind of counterintuitive because it's counting downwards instead of upwards. So we usually think down a row, down a column, but it's up a row, down a column, up a row, down a column. So we're going to keep doing that until row equals 5, right? No? Let's try it. So if I did a while, let's make another value called const, not let we found, just so we keep track of everything, we found start equals false, just so we keep track of that, right? So we have this, and I should probably make this value too. We can make while we found start. There's a bunch of fancy ways you could type this, but I'm just going to put while it equals false. We want to do something. And what we want to do is we want to check up a row from where we started, up a row, down a column. So we would put if this dot board dot state that equals this dot board dot state at which row? So we went up a row, so it'll be row whatever we passed in plus 1.
Quick question.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm imagining things. Here you're writing this dot board dot state, but right above on line 77 is this dot state dot board. Is there any difference?
Oh, you actually just caught me in a typo. Thank you for that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Thank you a lot because, yeah. Okay, so this dot state dot board. Sorry. All these numbers are kind of confusing me. So we have row plus 1. So if we go back here, going up 1 row, and then we're going down 1 column. So we'll say column minus 1. Right? So that will basically, we're going backwards. Is this the bottom row? No? Okay, we're going to do it again. That's all we're doing here, right? So if that is that, what we're going to do is we're going to say we found start equals true. Then we're going to set state to this.
I'm back. Would it not be faster to just subtract
I was about to get to that, but can you explain?
So take your column dot length. So what? However many we got? What? 6, 7. I forget which way is which. How many rows do we have?
7. 6 rows.
6 rows. So take the length of that. So 6 minus our clicked or our check row. Or 5 minus our check row.
5 minus our checked row.
Yeah.
So
Wi-Fi
minus 3.
Because Wi-Fi, because that's kind of like the location, the place that we're clicking.
Or 5 minus. Oh yeah, because this will
5 minus the place we're clicking.
Oh, I see.
Minus 3
and
equals.
That's the offset.
So that would be.
So then you go column plus or out.
Can you type what you're talking about?
Well, I missed exactly what you.
Okay, so we're basically.
Okay, I see.
Our logic is if we are already if we're already at the bottom row, then we're at the starting point, right? Because no matter what, yeah, that's that. And if not, all we're doing is we're going up a row because this is counting downwards, up a row and down a column, checking this if it's the bottom row. And if not, up a row, down a column.
Right.
And that's where this while loop is going.
So I would say what I'm saying is if we check on the bottom and you're clicking the row that it lands on is 5. 5 minus 5 is 0. And therefore that's the one. That's where you start.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So instead we could do.
So you're not even doing any of the loops to check.
But how will we find the start? I think we're doing
because the rows is a fixed number of rows, and the row that we're inputting is a specific row,
right?
And that's going to be the offset. So you click on something on the fifth. The one we're checking is something on the 5th row. So something 5 minus.
We're checking.
I wish there was an annotation like on Zoom so I could circle which one I'm talking about at least. Okay, so you're checking that one that you were just hovering over.
Right.
So 5 minus 3 is 2. So now you're going to check 2 to the left and 2 down.
2 to the left.
So column.
Yeah. Oh.
Wait, can I ask a silly question here?
Sure.
So we're trying to find the earliest possible start position, right? So you just need to see which is lower number, the row or the column. Like which one is closer to the edge, and then you're going to check that. Doing like
and that's also true.
Saying.
Yeah.
So minus 2 or minus whatever.
So we have. Yeah, but if you were in row 3 on column 0,
because
there's there's nothing less than 0 on.
I just thought of something though. What if this is where we start?
Well, that's
because then the bottom row we can't get to that anymore. So we need actually 2 checks. If row is 5 or if column.
It may not save as much time as I thought it was. Sorry.
No.
What you were doing with kind of incrementing 1 each at a time, probably is more efficient because you just do that until you hit the edge with 1.
Yeah, either edge.
I'm gonna go get my charger real quick. We're gonna spend about maybe a couple 15, if everyone's okay with that, more minutes, and we're gonna pick up from here next time. So let's try to figure out where we can get on a starting. I would like to get at least the starting point logic down. 1 second.
Yeah, I think now that we thought that through a little, I think this is probably a decent way to go.
Yeah.
It just has to be.
So just to update you guys while I'm plugging my charger in, during the lockdown, I've taken on cooking, and I thought I was pretty good at it. Got my confidence up for a bad reason, because I tried to make some lemon meringue pie, and it looked nothing.
Ooh.
It looked nothing like the picture. So don't say ooh. I was like very depressed at how it looked.
No, the important thing is, how did it taste?
It still tasted good. Yeah. Okay, I followed those directions. I just didn't follow the meringue directions right. Cool. So we have this. We have kind of where we're walking down. So we need to put. We're going into our / check logic, right? We have this while loop, and while it's false, we're saying if this dot state dot board. I don't think we want to check this, do we? Because this would just be 0 or something, right? Or player 1 or player 2, because we're checking the state of the board. So I'm just going to do this. If row plus 1 equals 5, or column minus 1 equals, what did we say, 0?
Yeah.
So if it's the first column or it's the bottom row, because that's where the / will start at. We're gonna do this. We're gonna say.
Although you're checking one away. Well, I guess either way. Yeah, I see. Start row plus 1, column minus 1. Okay.
Column.
Only issue is if you're at that bottom column.
Well, we have this if statement here.
Oh, okay, got it. Sorry, I missed
that out. No, it's cool. Thank you for pointing that out, because I didn't put the true statement here. So we would have set the start, but we would have went to this while loop anyway. Error. Okay, so we have if row is the bottom row, basically, just to say what this logic says, or if column is the leftmost column, we're going to set it as true. If not, we're just going to keep going through this for loop or this while loop until we do it, right? It's the basic logic that we have. After that, let's just do a log. Log. I'm going to do this in all caps. The starting point is, and we'll just do start, right? Because that's basically where we have the state of what we're doing. We set it as default 0, 0, but this will obviously get overridden as soon as we do stuff. So let's do the same log here. And I'm curious if this works. Is there anything else, maybe something I'm missing or anything someone sees? Just one time to go through the logic. So we have these two states. Did we find the start? And then we have what the start position is. We're basically saying if it starts at the bottom row or the leftmost column, we just want to say we found it and this is where the start is. If not, we're going to do this loop, and each time, does anyone see anything wrong with this logic yet? Each time we're going to take row plus 1 equals the bottom row, or the column minus 1, which is, to the left. If that equals 0, then we found start, and that's true. There's one thing we're missing. One thing. So if we do this while loop, the first time, whatever the row is, it'll be row plus 1. Second time, whatever the row is, we'll do row plus 1. Third time, whatever the row is, we'll just do row plus 1. So if this was always like this, we'd always be checking this each time in the while loop. That's the dangerous thing about while loops. Just a hint. That's the reason I didn't want to run this error. You were about to say something, Gabriel. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we need to store the value of like the last. We need to use the last checked row and column and store those and use those for that.
Right.
Because we want row and column to stay the original row and column past, so we need new variables for those.
Cool. And the only reason I pointed this out is because the tricky thing about while loops, usually I try to stay away from, and actually in Golang, if anyone knows what Go, the programming language is, they don't use for loops, or they don't use while loops. They just use for loops. And because while loops can go on forever and crash and break things pretty bad. So we have this kind of constant, so we'll run forever if this isn't the bottom row. So what we want to do is we can do it 2 ways. The way I was thinking was that we could just have this 1 increment to 2, and then 3, and then 4. But another way that Gabriel was talking about is we have another state, basically. It's just a variable, but we could call it a state because that's basically what it is. We could just say, what do you want to name this? Temporary position. Is that a good name?
Start position.
Or current position, maybe?
Yeah, check position.
Okay, current position. That's better. And I'm just going to kind of do how I did start, where we have the row and we have the column, right?
Right.
So now we can say current position at 0. And current position at 1. Right, so the first and the second value. One more thing, now that we're doing it this way. You would have to...
We have to change the values of current position. Couldn't we do that before the if, and then we don't have to do the math?
Can you type? Because I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not sure if this makes sense, but you like I'm not sure if this makes sense.
You're there. You're there. Trust yourself. So what do we want to set this current position that represents the row? What do we want to set this as before this if statement?
Well, I think really it's just like we just want to increment that.
Okay. Nice. What about? Okay, yeah, there you go. Dope. Super dope.
And then here we should be able to just say,
Nice.
Oop.
Does everyone see why you did that?
Could you break it down real quick? I kind of get it, but if you can, explain your train of thought.
We're basically setting current position up here, right? And this is kind of the same way we did start, where the first one is the row, second one is the column. And all we're doing here is we're incrementing it. We're incrementing the row, just the same thing that we did with this. We're incrementing the row, and we're subtracting the column. So this first one of current position, we're incrementing it by 1. And the second one, we're decreasing the column by 1. And the reason we're doing that is now this, we won't have to, this value here, sorry, I gotta remember to highlight. This value here, it's going to automatically change while we go through the while loop, basically. Does that help? Awesome.
Thank you.
It's basically just, it's doing the exact same thing, basically, that Kyle was doing. It's just instead of having to say that row +1 and column -1 each time we reference it, we just assign it to these variables and kind of.
Yeah, I got it.
Is it
so
me?
It looks cleaner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it me, or does this not look like a comment in someone else's code? It's light blue for me. I don't
know. Yeah, I don't know.
If it checks it or not.
The ID is supposed to work on that, yeah.
It's a comment in mine anyway.
Is it because you're inside of the curly bracket? No.
There we go.
Okay, I guess moving it to a new line. Maybe it was the parser that was doing something. I don't know. Okay, so are we okay to check this? Is everyone okay to check this? All right. Are we still logging the starting position? Yep. Okay. Fingers crossed. Starting point is 5, 3. Nice. So that's this point here. Let's try above here. 5, 2. Okay. Nice. 5, 1. And this should be 5, 0. Cool. So will this be, what is it? 4, 0? Okay, we're cooking. We're cooking with oil now. This is solid. So this is a good point. And I think the reason we can stop here is this logic, just like what we did with the horizontal and vertical, we can recycle this to do the similar logic with the backward slash. And then we'll be done. So congrats to everyone for making it this far. I know.
Wait, what about the WebSocket and the multiplayer and?
Yeah, that's the extra stuff. We'll get into all that. We want to get through this first.
Can you do it again? Can you do it again? I didn't really get what I was supposed to be doing. So I just saw like a vertical row, like a vertical column, but I didn't really get.
Okay, yeah, I'll restart. So basically what we're doing is if I click here, where should the starting point, if we're doing a /, where should the starting point be? If I click here.
That's yeah, column 4, row 6, 1, 2, 3, yeah.
So this would be row 5, column 3. Remember, because we're doing it by zeros.
Yeah, I see.
Row 5, column 3. If we do that, we see here it shows row 5, column 3. So if we click again, where should it be?
It should be the column 4. Column. Hold on, I cannot see. Yeah, so column 4, row 5.
Right. So this is row 5, column 2. So we get 5-2.
Oh, okay, I see.
Let me make that a little bigger.
Why is it? I cannot. Yeah. What the heck? Sorry.
Better? Cool. So I'm feeling kind of happy that we got to this point.
Yeah, I'm starting to get it. Sorry, I didn't see it the bottom, so I think
What's
now.
cool about this type of logic is we can kind of just take this reverse logic to check if we can use the basic counter thing that we did for vertical and horizontal. 1, 2, up. This one's missing. Set it back to 0. Cool. So this is a good part to leave off on. Are there any comments from anyone or anything anyone's excited about?
Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem. No problem. This is fun.
It was a lot of fun.
I started watching Money Heist for anyone who wants to know.
Have fun with that, man. Yes.
Oh. So I got what is it? Recommended that by Alan, so he's helping me out.
Hang in there.
Yeah. I'm on
that's gonna help you work on Spanish too. Like I'm like I mean this is like in Spanish, like what is going on?
I'm actually reading the Spanish subtitles, believe it or not. Yeah.
Cool.
Helping me a lot.
I love that show.
Yeah, that was awesome. Don't spoil it for me. I'm only on like episode 3 though. All right. Anything for Alan and Donald? If not.
No, I think I'm just making some notes on the Slack because, like I said, keep an eye in there. We put a lot of things in there for during the week.
Right.
Questions. Don't forget 101 with Kyle. That's that's very good. You want to take advantage of that. You want to take advantage of that wherever you are right now. Kyle can certainly put the right path there. Let's see what else.
Also, message us or if you want to get involved in that Grammerhub web project.
Just shoot us on the Slack thing is there, or just raise your hand and tell us I want to also do that project too. That's meeting right now on Thursdays, right? So far, I'm not changing that.
Up on Thursdays.
I'm raising my hand. I'd love to get involved.
I can't see. I'm still seeing the. I take the board out so we can see everybody.
It's 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, it's 8 p.m. and it usually doesn't go longer than an hour. Kind of just catching everybody up what point we got to and whatnot. And by the way, if any of this feels overwhelming, just trust me. Just watching this and kind of going over the fundamentals, you'll just start snapping. You'll start to notice things. So just a reminder to anyone. And yeah, I am available for those one-on-ones. Cool. I think that's everything.
How do you schedule the one-on-ones again?
You kind of just message me in the Slack.
Oh, cool.
Slack channel. Yeah, and we talk about what time works best for everyone.
Get the winning strategy for Kyle.
Nice. I like it. I like the meetup notes, by the way.
I think we should do that. Now we're getting a lot of info on each night. There's a lot of stuff that we got people from all over the place too now. So that's how we grow.
Nice. Yeah, and
I have a feeling that this is gonna get big. Like this.
Hopefully. All this is about is like helping people, right? Once again, everybody's trying to, at least everyone who's here, I'm assuming, is trying to, get better, progress. I don't want to hold everyone for too long because it's already 8:45. So
yeah. Stop sharing that way we can see everybody and say goodbye.
Oh, sorry. That's very embarrassing. Thank you for telling me that. Okay.
Nothing. How was it for you guys? Maria, Daniel. Gabriel.
Pretty good. I like it so far.
Once you get the code and you start tinkering with it too, You know, you'll be put on the seat and then you'll be driving. That's where you get going, right?
I have one question for Daniel. Do you play guitar?
I
see two of them.
play ukulele, but I do play guitar.
Well, I tried to learn guitar. I'm not too good at it, so I'm not gonna say I play. I would definitely, if you're not shy, next time we should start off. We should lead the meetup with just a song or something. Get everyone in.
Don't put it in your camera. I play too. I'm not gonna strategically know.
You guys all
play though.
Some Led Zeppelin. I mean, nothing. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. All right, cool.
For me, it was pretty cool. Thank you so much. I have been drilling really into the eFail statements and switch statements the last couple of days. So when I was looking at your code, I was able to know where things were coming from mostly.
Right.
So
yeah, it'll start clicking more. And by the way, we do have this repo that we're sharing, right? And you can review it. And like Alan was saying, please take advantage of those one-on-ones because I try to go more in depth into what's happening. You know, I can't do that while everyone's kind of here, right? But those one-on-ones, I feel, help give guidance in a lot of areas where I wish I had it. Cool.
I'm still waiting for mine, but
thank you.
Yeah, sure you are. Right. All right. I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna log off.
Bye, everyone. See
you. Thanks.
Yeah.
I thought Kyle was gonna stay. There you go.